It is possible Tuesdays with Sanja. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is 2025. We are alive and we are about to thrive. I'm going to introduce you to a very wonderful, very special friend of mine whose story will, I'm going to say, it's going to blow you out of the water. It's going to be interesting. You're going to be inspired. It's going to have some nuggets of wisdom as well. But as usual, let us start with, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for prosperity and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope. But Jesus beheld them and said unto them, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. Welcome again. My very special guest today has a very lovely name, and she's always right. So that gives you a clue about her name. I'm going to have her introduce herself to you, tell us your full name, where you were born, where you grew up.
Okay. So my name is Shania Wright, and I was born in St. Andrew, Jamaica, and I grew up in St. Catherine, Portmore in St. Catherine.
Okay.
I attended Portmore SDA Church, where I would have first interacted with and met Sonia.
Okay. So, you were born in Kingston and then you moved to Portmore. And what was life like for you growing up in Portmore?
Um, I I guess I'll say that it was great because it's the only experience that I have as I was growing up. But I think that Portmore at the time was there were a lot of young people on my avenue. People were pretty open, connected. The idea of um, this insecurity and paranoia and fear wasn't at the level that it is today. I remember that they talk about not locking your doors. At some like we really weren't good at locking the doors. Like if you were walking down the street, you would just be looking directly in the house. The doors was always open, and my brother's friends who would be like on the road. A lot of the people, the young kids, they would just come to my house. They just walk in and they're watching TV. So it was pretty open. Lot of time to hang out. I only had brothers. So I grew up in a house full of men with my one mother. And they would play cricket in the middle of the street, and I would always want to be in the game, but I can't really play. So they always send me to go and field and catch the ball, and it was horrible. I hated feeling, but then I always want to be in the game. So it was there was a lot of that. I was always trying to be in the game and trying to be in the middle. But there was a lot of activity. It was good. It was good. I don't have any significantly bad memories at that time.
You, do- it's interesting that you have spoken about the lack of paranoia, the lack of fear, the openness, and the time to hang out. Because nowadays, people don't hang out. Young people don't hang out. They don't know what it is to just meet somebody on the road and be chatting with them, get into a
Yeah.
conversation because they're all on their gadgets. And I think that is what is lost for our young people. But you had a pretty interesting, involved, active life. And then you were the only girl. Were you the baby of the family and were you
Yeah.
spoiled?
I'm definitely the baby. My response about being spoiled, I'm probably biased. I don't think I was spoiled. But I know I never get any beaten. I know some people got beaten, so maybe that's the answer to the question. Um, but I am the last and the only girl.
Yeah. No, as the last child and the only girl, did you was your house divided into this is what Shinya must do because she's a girl, um, and she can't do that because those are boys' things. Was that how your
Yeah,
growing
there
up
was there
was?
was there was an element of that. Because I felt like it was my job to be washing the dishes. I hated washing dishes because it's like the dishes never ended. And after you wash the dishes, somebody put more dishes in it was horrible. And yes, and I would always be the one to get called to go and wash the dishes. And because I had so many brothers and they all like to watch sports, and there is always some sport in
A
season,
sport,
I
yeah.
almost never got to watch TV. So it was basketball season, then it was football season, then it was cricket season, then it was track and field. So there, I hate sports because I never got to watch any TV. So yeah, there's definitely that line.
Yeah,
But fine.
yeah. Now, you went to an all girls school.
I
Does
did.
that have any, did your choice of school, an all girls school, have to do with the fact that you had so many boys around you, you needed to get away? Or was it because of something else why you chose, why that was your first choice?
So it wasn't that strategic. Um, the friends that I had in prep school, my two best friends, they both we were all discussing where we'd go for high school, and we discussed going to Immaculate, and we all picked for Immaculate, and we all passed for Immaculate. So that's why I went to Immaculate.
Now, you went to an all girls Catholic school.
Correct.
Um, what was the experience like for you, um, as one? You lived in Portmore, your school was in Kingston, you attended a Seventh-day Adventist church, and you went to a Catholic school. Was there any conflict, confusion, worry, rebellion?
So not for me. But I could see how someone else could have that challenge. I mean, just living in Portmore and going to school in Kingston, meant early mornings to get to school. But in terms of my school experience, and Immaculate being a Catholic school and me being Seventh Day Adventist, at that time, I would describe myself as two things: very Seventh Day Adventist, and I was very open as well. And while it might be a little naive to say, I felt like I was more fully formed in terms of my identity as a Christian and my beliefs. So I wasn't, I didn't feel confused. I didn't feel shaken by anything that I was exposed to. It was more in just interesting. So I went to the chapel. I went to the different services. At that time, religion was a required subject. I enjoyed it because I got exposed to different religions, and that was always fascinating to me. It never felt like it impinged on or caused me to question what I thought or believed at the time. So it was a good experience for me. But I could see if you're not fully formed around some fundamentals, it might cause you to have a different experience. But it was good for me.
I am quite excited by the fact that you've said that because it means that I've always seen you as very mature, very smart, very intelligent. But to hear you articulate that about your time as a teenager growing up and the fact that you had this view that you were fully formed in terms of your beliefs is really profound. What do you think gave you that foundation where you're able to say, you know what, I know what I believe and I don't have to question.
A lot of it was my environment. And I guess in my environment, from the standpoint that my mother is Seventh Day Adventist, she's always been Seventh Day Adventist. I would say that we are all Seventh Day Adventists. And there are things that we would do at home, and the way that I experienced Christianity through her, lived actions, um, that kind of concretized some fundamentals around Christianity for me, but not in this kind of very fantastical way. It was very grounded. because she's very practical. So if there's somebody who's hungry, she's not going to be the one to be like, I'm gonna be ministering to you and talking to you forever. She's just like, okay, so what we cooking? And that kind of practicality around what it means to be a Christian really kind of informed the way that I see it. And it just felt like it made sense through all parts of my life. But on the other side, my father was not a Seventh-day Adventist, and he was an Anglican, and not really particularly. Well, he was not a big church attender, but I would say that he was definitely always interested in religion and God, because he's always open to debate and that kind of conversation. But the having both perspectives growing up, I think helped me to be the two things that I mentioned. Clear and grounded in this foundational natural part of me that I think is a Christian, but also open and curious, because I could see that they were both living together in the house. It was not a fight and a complaint. On Sabbath, we just get ready, we go to church, and eventually, my father passed away last year. Before he died, I mean, he got baptized into the Adventist faith. So sometimes you have to minister to people for, they would have been married for like 52 or 53 years, and it's like after 50 years that he got baptized. So that's a whole other story. But yeah, so that's, I even forgot the question. I've wandered off, but that's right.
No, you're answering the question, because I was asking you about the basis, and then the fact that you have said to us your mom was very much a Seventh-day Adventist, your dad was Anglican, but there was no negativity or conflict in the home, and you were able to use that to help you to be who you have become now. Now, as I said, I've always found you intelligent and quite grounded from a very young age. And most people would always say that about you. Now, if you were to describe yourself in 3 words, what would the 3 words be?
I guess the number one word, and I said this to my team, you should find your superpower. My superpower is definitely curiosity. I am a learner, I am a seeker, I am a pursuer of knowledge. So curiosity would definitely be one. Hopefully, people would say that I'm open. I try to be what that is in every facet of that word. I want to be just open, where necessary, neutral. And one more word to describe myself. I don't know. You can't read the label if you're inside the box. So,
whoa, I like that. I like that. What does that mean when you say that?
I mean, your perspective about yourself will never be as clear as someone else's perspective of you. So maybe I should ask you to describe me in 3 words. It might be more accurate.
And my 3 words would have to go back to intelligent, grounded, and very matter of fact.
Yeah, I'm easygoing, very easygoing.
Very matter of fact. There's no coyness. Shinya is as you see her, take it or leave it. And you're very much your own person. I loved that from you. And even as a young child. Now, Shinya, what's the relationship like between you and your siblings?
Um, Good. Like generally good. No horrible riffs and stories like you hear. But what I can say is that it has changed as I have gotten older. Because I like, especially my brother who is closest in age to me, so Jordan, you would know Jordan. When we were growing up, we would fight like all the time. Like the despise and the rancor was just, it was high, like overhead high. And then no, like we're we're just so cool, so easygoing. Maybe because we're kind of walking through similar professional experiences, and like definitely he has become a comrade, a friend, an advisor in that way. But when I was growing up, my other brothers played different roles. Duran is a big protector. Whenever, because I have so many brothers, and they would, I told you, I never got to watch TV. So, like, I'm just like, can I watch something? Duran is the one coming to rescue me. And then my other brother, Picture, I was very much into tech. And his love for technology very, very early, like computers, is the reason why I have the profession in technology that I have right now. So they have all played interesting role in who I am, and the relationship has changed the dynamic, but altogether really good.
And do you have nieces and nephews? And what's the relationship like with them?
I have seven nieces. I have some nephews, have to count. I think I have four nephews. Oh, yeah, I have four nephews and two nieces, so it's 6. Yeah. I mean, pretty good. I when they were younger, like they would all spend time at my mother. So like all of the nieces, nephews, her grandchildren. I mean, I don't think it was a plan, but all the children ended up with my mother, and all the children ended up going to church with her, and we spend a lot of time every weekend together with the nieces, the nephews, just at church, after church, and even outside of that, maybe because that happened so much. We used to go out, I would, carry them to the movies or carry them to the beach or something like that. But when you carry one, you have to carry all, so you have to like make up your mind that you're going to be spending this money, because you have to feed them, you have to entertain them. But it's great. But now they're 3 of them are, like, I would say adults, like in the 20s now. So when they talk about their life, I am always just shocked when they talk about, that they're working and they're looking for a new job and what happened with their boss. It's surreal, because I don't take them serious. I'm just like, you are still a child. Like, but it's been a good experience to kind of watch that developmental arc. Yeah, so that's been good.
Advice do you give them as Auntie Shinya?
I'm pretty grounded. So whenever they come to me, I try to give the unvarnished truth. I will. I'm not. I believe in your intelligence. My mother would say this. So God give you a brain for a reason. He expects you to think. So I'll tell you what my perspective is, and if I have experience in it, I tell you what my experience is, and then I give you the information. You get to decide. That is a fundamental condition of life as we know it. Your freedom to choose, but on the other side of freedom is consequence. So as you decide and that you want to do a thing, just go eyes open, accepting whatever the consequence is. So that's my approach generally with advice.
I told my listeners that you'd be dropping some nuggets. You can't read the label if you're on the inside, but on the other side of making your decision are consequences. A young soul with old world philosophy is one of the things that I would use to describe you. How did you get so wise?
I don't know. I would say maybe I am a good observer, because wisdom comes through experience, and I know that I don't have sufficient experience to support any wisdom that people think I have. So I am an observer. I told you I didn't get beaten as a child. I just learned, like, okay, so if you do this, you get beaten, so I don't do that. So that's wisdom, I just observe, learn. So yeah, but when I was in high school, for whatever reason, they actually called me like wise. It was very strange when I was that young. I do remember that like at the end of school, everybody writes to each other.
Yes.
And one of my friends she wrote me a big letter, and she just like, to the wise woman. It's very weird. I don't feel more wise than anybody else.
But the very fact that you are where you are in your life's journey, in terms of your career, means that you have made some wise choices and you have made some right choices. Tell me about how you got to where you are in terms of your profession.
So I'll tell you what I do. I help business solve problems with technology. So I believe that technology is an enabler. That any dream you have, technology can help you manifest it effectively and fast and cheaper and all of those things. So I spend a lot of time with businesses in consultation, understanding the problems that they have and sharing with them options around how they could apply technology to solve those problems and hopefully supporting the implementation of that up to the point where they get the outcomes that they dream about. So I love to tell my team, I tell my clients that we are possibility people. Whatever you want to achieve, the answer is yes. The first answer is always yes, and then we'll find out how to get it done
Get to
because
the
it can be
yes.
done.
Yes. Yes.
So that's really what I do. I work with a company that's in Jamaica, but we are, I guess I would say that we're a global company because we have a team that's globally dispersed. In Jamaica, Canada, the US. We have a staff in Australia. We have a pretty diverse team, but we are an IT consulting firm called SANJO, and I am responsible for strategic engagement, business development, and just working with our clients in the region. So that's what I do. How did I get here? I have been doing this under different badges now for maybe about 17 years. So I have a good foundational appreciation for technology. And one thing that was made very clear to me very early was when I was going into college, I was going to do computer science. And one of my brothers is a programmer. And we spoke at length about it. And he described his experience, what he liked about it and what he didn't like. And I don't think he intended it to be, but a takeaway for me was that, but technology and its pervasive nature is inevitable. So I could just probably go and study business and the technology stuff will come after. So any certifications that I have gotten as it relates to technology came much later. I don't have any academic papers that say anything IT on it, but it's what I have done for 17 years now. So that choice to study business helped me to be able to speak in context when I talk to business leaders. And then the obsessive curiosity that I have. And that also was an interesting experience because TNEC has the highest concentration of Hasidic Jews in the United States. So to really observe Orthodox Jews on Sabbath as a Seventh-day Adventist was an interesting thing. So I enjoyed my time there. That's where I did my undergraduate, and then I worked in the States for a little while, and I came back to Jamaica, and then I did my master's in business at Florida International University while I was working, and then I made the decision about whether I was going to stay here or go to the States, and I decided that I would stay here. I believed in the promise of technology in the Caribbean and what that could look like, and yeah, so that's how that happened.
That's it. You're in technology, but you did business because you are a big picture person. You're a big picture, and I like the fact that you said, "Get the business, and the technology will come." And that's the beauty of your mind, because your mind is not pigeonholed. It looks at everything else and beyond, even without. I don't. And maybe you do see the future from the standpoint where you are, but you. I mean, this is why I think you are so wise.
I see the
Your
possibility.
curiosity.
I definitely see the
Yes,
possibility.
and and
So
and I love that. I love that. And I'm listening to you here, and I'm thinking problem solver, problem solver. The fact that you see we are the possibility people. We say yes, and then we look at how we get to the yes point, but we know it is possible.
yes.
Um, have you, in your personal and professional life, met upon situations that have posed problems for you, and how have you dealt with them?
Depends. I mean, in my professional life, um, people like to talk about that there are not a lot of women in technology, and that it is a male-dominated field. And then the path that I have taken, I spent a good part of my career focused on working with banks and that specific type of technology, and then working with utilities. And those are doubly male dominated.
Yes.
And I think that there may have been hurdles or roadblocks that were in my way, but I think I only realized them in retrospect. Um, as I hear people talk about their own experience and I observe their response to the same thing, and I'm just like, oh, yeah, that happened to me. Yeah, but okay. So, and that's why I said that maybe I have approached so many things in life with naivety. Um, I do remember I told a story recently that I was invited with my CEO to do a presentation to some board at some company, and all men around the table. And my CEO, he comes in, he introduced himself or company, just kind of do the kickoff, and then he hands over to me. And one of the gentlemen around the table um, basically was like, "So, is this little girl going to come talk to us?" And he called his name, and he just said, "Boss, just come tell me how the thing go." And in the moment, I don't think I was probably in shock to have a negative emotion or to like cry or anything like that. And then I was blessed with I've had amazing leaders around me. And my CEO chose to he stepped in and he just said, so this is a problem that you have. This is a person that I think is best to help you with that. So this is who we're going to be listening to. And he deferred to me and he defended me on this public stage. And it helped to build my confidence. And like, oh yeah, all right, so I do know some stuff. Which you don't really think of that because you're living in your own head with all your own doubts. So that was an interesting moment. So I guess I could have reflected on that. I said, boy, and different things like that have happened to me because I'm also, you can't see, I'm pretty small in stature. I'm about 5 feet, struggling to be 5 feet, and I've been this height forever. And I have a fairly youthful looking face, notwithstanding, my 40 odd years. And that it's been worse. It was worse in my career. So I got that a lot. But I chose to just kind of let it roll off my shoulders and not internalize the negativity of persons. Um, and that kind of, I guess, created some insulation for me to just walk through it and come out fairly unscathed to the point where I'm able to know and say to you, you know what? I realized in retrospect that there were a lot of challenges and roadblocks put in my way on the journey, but they didn't feel that way when it just felt like all right, I just need to navigate around that.
Such a mature, resilient. strong outlook, because quite a number of persons have developed imposter syndrome when they have met upon things like this. A lot of people have become quite stressed, quite distressed, and have given up on something that they're very good at, simply because quite a number of persons, usually male, um, question their ability. And it's such a blessing to hear you being defended, but also hearing you not even recognizing that that was happening and just getting on with it, you know. And I think you are a standard bearer without even knowing it. And a lot of young Black girls can look up to you and say, ah, there's somebody that I could model myself on. Now, do you have anybody, any young girls that you're mentoring? Is that something that you do in your current role or in your life in general?
So, indirect and indirect ways. Indirect
Yeah,
and
yeah.
indirect ways. um, so I have a fairly young team of mostly ladies. That so I approach so it really does help to what I said, give clarity or shine a light on some things that I just never noticed before, even when I see them raise an issue, and and I I have to help them navigate through that. Even though I went through the issue, I didn't have quite that response, quite that experience, and things change. So that has been really great. And then I spend a lot of time with my nieces. The older one, more than yeah, she's she's at a stage in her life, like 25 now, where as she, I guess, trying to navigate the professional spaces. We spend a lot of time talking about that. There's a lot of work around. Um, there's a lot of information around the fact that you need to surround yourself around people with people
Yeah.
to who have access to, who have seen the journey that you want to go on. And she has aspirations to walk in these kinds of spaces. So we spend a lot of time on that. So that's a lot of where that's my direct mentoring work happens. And that's, we'll see. When I make more room and space in my life, I'll do more. But that's my capacity at this point.
And you, it doesn't make sense for you to spread yourself thinly, because you won't be able to do what you need to do with the impact that you want to do, or that you can do. um you spoke recently about the passing of your father. um if you don't mind, how have you been able to navigate that close death? I remember when your grandma passed, because she was like one of my favorites, because she and my grandmother were quite good friends. uh, how have you been able to navigate things like death in your life?
So I feel, notwithstanding his recent passing, I still feel very inexperienced with death and dealing with death. Because I think that my response maybe has not even yet been fully, um, realized.
Processed.
Yeah. But maybe because of the way it happened, we spent so much time together. I was there. It wasn't a shock. So I have kind of been able to be very even even with that bad situation. Which is an odd thing to say, but I suspect I may still be processing it. Um, yeah.
And it's a part of the experience. It's a part of the experience. I remember when my grandmother died, I knew she was unwell, but I called home and somebody just said, "Oh, you heard that your grandmother died," which was not
Whoa, that's terrible.
that was not the way you want to
That was
hear that
terrible.
you're that's not how you want to
No.
hear it. But we learn to deal with things that are hard because we have to continue living,
Yes.
and we process things over a period of, and even now sometimes I'm like, oh, Gaga dead,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not hearing her voice, and but it's the memories that we have made that makes the difference and makes it easier for us to handle the present, as we process the grief, um
Yeah.
uh, and I am excited. I'm happy that I've had the opportunity to just chat with you. It has been a long time. We won't
It
tell
has.
anybody
Quite how
how
long?
long it has
I
been.
had less gray hair then.
You had none.
I had none. You're
You
right.
had none. You
I
had
actually had
none.
a whole lot less hair. Total.
you know, but it has been a wonderful occasion speaking with you, and I
Likewise.
have been blessed with lots of the nuggets. You consider yourself to be a pursuer of knowledge, your innate curiosity, your openness, your possibility people, your recognition of your foundation of your youth playing such a profound impact on your life, your brothers pouring into you, being grounded in your faith so that you could withstand everything, basically. What about your life has made it easy, or what in your life would you say you would use to say it is possible?
So I think I don't know if this is universally applicable, but for me, um, I know that it's possible because most times the thing that is in front of me is not the hardest thing I've ever done. I've done hard things. I do hard things all the time. So I know I can do the next hard thing that is in front of me because my experience tells me that I believe in my capability to do hard things. If I don't know in the moment that it presents itself, I have the experience to know that I'll figure it out. I'll find a way. There's somebody who can help me. There is some book I can read. There is some knowledge out there. There is some path that I can find. There is some room that I have not explored that God is going to open for me to get through it. I know that I can do what is the next hard thing in front of me because I've done hard things.
I'm in awe of you. Let me just tell you that. I'm in awe of you. I have, and I'll tell you why I'm in awe of you, because I have known you since you were a child.
You have.
Yeah. And the words of wisdom and the way you're articulating has been wonderful. And I know that my audience have been blessed. There's a quiet authority about you. There is it's almost unassuming, you know, the profound statements that you have made and the wealth of knowledge and the experience, the information that you've shared with us, which shows us someone whose thought processes are not rushed, but somebody who also recognizes that whatever is presented, I can handle it. You believe in yourself, you have a strong sense of confidence, but you're not arrogant. And we love that. Um, and I'm happy that I've been given the opportunity to share you with my audience. And I know that others listening will be able to take lots from you to enter into 2025, a year where we are thriving, a year where we are living, a year where we're not going to be dimming our lights, but we're going to continue to share and pour into others and, just be right like Shinya.
I appreciate that.
I
Thank you
love
very
I
much
love
for the
that.
invitation.
Shinya, it has been a blessing. I am so happy that I was able to have you. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for being my guest. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of another It Is Possible Tuesday with Sanya. And I
When
just want
I
you to
call
remember,
on
be a dreamer,
Jesus,
a
all
doer,
things
a
are
thinker. See possibility
possible.
everywhere.
I can
Because you are
mount
alive,
wings like
everything is
eagles
possible.
and
But Jesus beheld
soar.
them and said unto
When
them,
I call
with
on
men this is impossible,
Jesus,
but with God
mountains
all
are
things are
gonna
possible.
fall.
Thank you.
'Cause he'll move
Take care of yourselves
heaven
and
and
see you
earth
in 2 weeks'
to
time. Bye,
come what
everyone.